The trial captivating a nation.
Read is accused of killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. The defense claims she was framed in a police cover-up.
On the scene to keep you informed at every turn.
In Dedham, Katie Benoit, NBC 10 News.
With live updates and legal analysis.
What happens then? Does the trial have to stop?
A lawyer's only as good as his or her word.
They failed miserably and they'll continue to fail.
On air, online, and on the app. NBC 10 News has the latest on the retrial of Karen Read.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Gene Valicenti in the NBC 10 newsroom. It's after 5 o'clock. Court is over in the Karen Read retrial, so we recap the action for you today. Joining me today is NBC 10's Katie Benoit, who's been a reporter up there most days, and our legal analyst, Morjieta Derisier, who was joining us in her car today. Good afternoon to both of you. On the stand today is the same witness who was on the stand yesterday, Shannon Burgess. He's a data forensics expert, computer knowledge. He puts himself forth as an expert, but boy, did the defense do a number on him. His LinkedIn is screwed up, his resume is screwed up, and he's still working on his bachelor degree 17 years later. Morjieta, I thought the state would have dropped him yesterday after the devastating news that is he much of an expert? Go ahead.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Gene, today was not a win for the prosecution. The last few days with Shannon on the stand definitely was not a win. And I think the reality is it's not so much that it was one inconsistency or two. This is critical information. I mean, this is the reconstruction expert that a lot of people have been waiting to hear from, different information from the first trial. So it really was unfortunate that a lot of this simple information wasn't accurately reported and wasn't accurately given. I will give credit to the witness, though. He answered every single question. He did not shy away from it like a lot of other witnesses that we've seen on the stand, but it was definitely hard to watch.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask you a little later about the state trying to rehabilitate him, which is what they have to do now. But let me go to you, Katie. He has been brought in to try to talk about the timing of the black box in the SUV and the timing on John O'Keefe's cell phone and match them up and give an accurate time of death that the state wants to present and show, look, car stops, cell phone stops. Isn't that correct? And how far along did they get with that today?
Sure. So the data that Burgess presented was a time frame of a backup maneuver. And during that time frame, John O'Keefe's cell phone is locked for the last time. So today, the on redirect, that was brought up again in his process of using the two clocks to match up O'Keefe's cell phone and Karen Read's Lexus time. So a lot of calculations, a lot of numbers for this jury to have to go through and write down and think about. So I think it can be complicated for them going back to all those numbers and trying to put this timeline out of when this happened and how the prosecution is laying out their case.
Morjieta, two things. Is it going over the jury's head? And how do you really rehabilitate a witness like Shannon Burgess? So take the first one first.
So, I think the technical information right now might be going over the jury's head just because they're probably so focused on the way he's responding and all of the inconsistencies that are being brought out by the defense team. I think ultimately the jury just wants a clear-cut answer on how did he die? Was it done by this vehicle? And hopefully when they go back into deliberation, they'll be able to sort through that information. I think it's going to be really hard for the prosecution to come back and rehabilitate this key information because, again, a lot of the information we heard from before, medical examiner said inconclusive or, undetermined as cause of death. So this is a key piece of information for the prosecution right now. And to be honest, unless they have some other superstar expert, it's going to be really hard to come back from this.
In all of the world that you could choose from, or in all of Massachusetts, you picked Shannon Burgess. Who didn't do their homework? Who didn't vet this guy on the prosecution? They're being embarrassed with this. All right, let's go to clip number 2. Dan, this is Shannon Burgess talking about his qualifications, which were ripped by the defense. There's not much. Play it.
Ever represented in any court that you achieved your bachelor's degree?
No, I have not.
Have you ever inflated your qualifications in a court?
No, I have not.
Do you need a bachelor's degree to be competent and achieve in this area?
No, I do not.
Is a bachelor's degree a prerequisite of success in a particular field?
No, it is not.
You ever hear of Bill Gates?
Yes.
Stephen Jobs?
Yes.
Oprah Winfrey?
Sustained.
Okay, pick that up, Morjieta. That's the state trying to rehabilitate him to some degree there. You don't have this, you don't have that, but so what? A lot of people don't have degrees and they're very successful. Is that the aim?
And that may be a very true statement, but here we're talking about a murder investigation and a murder trial, and whether or not key information on how the decedent passed away rests on the technical information. If you remember, Gene, in the opening statement from the prosecution, Hank Brennan mentioned everything comes down to the science, everything comes down to the details. And now we have a witness on the stand who we're trying to rely on, and we can't even get the key information about where he went to school, how long he went to school, if he, some of these certifications are necessary. So it's really hard to just discredit the fact that he didn't go to college or have a bachelor's degree, because this is a key piece of the case, and the jurors need to rely on this, and it's really hard at this point.
And listen, there is a point to be made. You don't have to have a degree or a PhD. There are plenty of people who are experts in their field and they never have higher education. However, they didn't trump up their resume or appear to phony up the resume and put themselves forth as an expert. So that appears to be, that old legal adage, false in one, false in all. If you fibbed here, how do I know you're telling the truth on anything else you're going to say?
And even still, Gene, just one point that I would just kind of point out as a defense attorney that really made me cringe was the email communication where he admitted that he just copied and pasted from a prior email as to whether or not he did this investigation on his own mid-trial, or whether or not it was instructed by the Commonwealth to do this further supplemental report. And that I feel like was a really damaging piece of testimony.
All right, let me get Dan as our producer. This cut 3, is this cross-examination? Shannon Burgess on the federal court filing listing his degree. Is this cross-examination?
Yes, it is.
All right, play it for us.
Let's go back to Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration. That degree does not exist. It is not offered at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, correct?
No, it is not.
So therefore, an incorrect statement about your educational background was filed in a federal court in Texas, correct?
Yes, it was.
Devastating. All right. Katie, what is the jury doing when they hear this? Are they shaking their heads? Are they rolling their eyes? And what are the people in court doing when this is happening?
Sure. Well, unfortunately, we're not one of the 10 inside the courtroom this week. There's a randomizer every single week, so we'll put in for it. And some weeks, certain media outlets get left out, just the luck of the draw kind of thing. But when I'm in the courtroom, some of the jurors take notes. A couple of them really, really take notes. And there's some where I don't ever think I've seen them take notes, or maybe just, one or two times they've looked down. But the jury does seem to be involved, paying attention and taking notes when this testimony is going on.
All right. Tell us what happened with Karen Read outside court today. Then we'll roll that. What was she talking about? The credibility of this witness, Shannon?
Sure, yes, and what she thought about his testimony. Also, there were a couple of videos played in court today of statements. As I've mentioned in the past, there's been a lot of videos of interviews she's done with the media being played in court. So she answered some questions about that. And then I also asked her, how much longer do you think the prosecution's case is going to take? So we can take a listen to that.
Right. All right. Go ahead and roll that. Outside court.
What do you think about his performance? They had to get him on here. So how do you think he did?
Incredible or uncredible. I'm not sure what the word is.
Karen, do you have a comment on the timeline he put together, the 12:32 timestamp?
That John's phone is still moving. He's still walking after a common trigger on my Lexus.
How did you know on the ID interview? How did you come up with that time yourself?
That 12:25 time.
I said we believe. That's what we believe. And I said 12:25, 12:30, and that was based on phone data that we have that everyone is seeing now.
How much longer is their case going to last? Do you know?
A week, probably a week.
Don't look at me. I can't talk.
All right. I think a week.
Morjieta, just quickly, what's the point of insisting on a certain specific time of death if we're just a couple of minutes apart between what the state is saying and what the defense is saying? What's the fine line there?
So I think, I think it can't just be a fine line. And unfortunately, when somebody passes away, there has to be scientific certainty, at least to some degree, as to when that person passed away. And I think the importance of that is, again, remember, there are several people that were at the McCabe's residence who entered and exited the residence at several different times. So it is really important to figure out when the cause of death was and when exactly John O'Keefe passed away, because it needs to corroborate with the other information, other testimony that we've received so far. So it can't just be a guessing game. It can't just be left up to speculation, because it will really lead to whether or not some of these witnesses are credible or not, and whether or not the information that we have will actually lead to the jury to believe that Karen Read is guilty of these charges.
You know, her father spoke outside court yesterday, as he does on occasion, and he seemed to really resonate when they were talking about the credibility of this particular expert. He said, "End this charade. You know, this is ridiculous with this witness." I thought he hit a homer with that. Anyway, Katie, what's the rest of the week hold? I know we've got a shortened day. Just bring us up to date on that, then we'll let you go.
Sure. So Thursday is expected to be a short day, Friday no court, and then Monday no court because of the holiday. And then tomorrow it's expected. There was one more witness who took the stand today at the end of the day from the Massachusetts State Crime Lab. She works in the trace unit. So she's expected to be back sometime tomorrow. It's unclear if it will be in the afternoon or in the morning. It sounds like it will be in the afternoon, and there might be a new expert on the stand tomorrow just because of timing and scheduling. So we'll have to look out for that tomorrow morning.
Okay, that'll wrap up this debrief. Morjieta, thank you. NBC 10's Katie Benoit will let you get to work. Look for your reporting tonight. For the meantime, I'm Gene Valicenti in the NBC 10 room, the NBC 10 newsroom. This is our daily debrief. We do it after 5 o'clock when court ends, right here on our WJIR YouTube channel. We also have a recap, NBC 10 News at 7 on TV, and I have it on the radio the next day, too. Have a good rest of your day.
The trial captivating a nation, on the scene to keep you informed at every turn.
The defense brought up some inconsistencies with this testimony.
The lies and the dishonesty in this case is overwhelming.
With live updates and legal analysis.
Set that up for me. Why?
So the text messages between them kind of set up this argument that happened.
It's to show that they weren't always lovey-dovey.
He testified today that there was no fighting. They seemed normal, nothing was going on.
Harry, John's dead.
NBC 10 News has the latest on the retrial of Karen Read.